Good morning, church. A lot of you have made some comments over the past week about my casual attire. I mean, clearly this isn't the way that I usually address the church when we're here collectively at worship. So I guess you can call me the preacher or the lawyer in blue jeans. More often than not, this is kind of who I am and trying to be casual. It doesn't mean any disrespect at all whatsoever. These are just unusual times. And so I thought that I would come a little bit more casually attired so I could speak with you. And before we get into the lesson, Curtis and I are praying constantly that you're safe and that you're staying well. You know, for your leadership, weekly worship can often feel like a series of compromises. We stop sermon prep not because we have any kind of finished product, but because we have time that has run out on us. We wish we could add maybe 3 or more songs to the order of worship, but the bulletin is already full to overflowing. We would love to try maybe a creative prayer exercise with all of you, the whole church, but we question sometimes whether all of us as saints are ready for such a dramatic deviation from our usual kind of worship service. Week after week, there's a gap between what the service could be and the actual experience of all of us as God's gathered people. Now that gap obviously has widened significantly over the past week or two due to government restrictions and clearly concern over people's health. Church services around the country have either shifted from in-person to online, such as now, or from very large gatherings to extremely small groups. Giving a message like I'm doing now to an unblinking camera sometimes feels like I'm miles away from you, because I love being together with all of you in sometimes our flawed but our very beautiful gatherings. Thankfully, God is present in the gap between what should be and what is, and He brings His abundant grace with Him in those circumstances. And in moments of uncertainty, there's always room to feel two conflicting things simultaneously or at the same time. And first, it's okay to feel grief. It's okay to feel separation. It's okay to feel as if things aren't the norm, because they're not. Once more, we experience in a very poignant and direct way the tension between the already and the not yet. The church, however, doesn't cease being the church when it can't get together collectively. But we feel this pain of temporary separation, that this isn't how things ought to be. But second, we may feel energized to experiment. Limitations breed creativity. And I've heard repeatedly, the church was made for times such as these. I've been greatly encouraged by the very clever ways some pastors and ministers and churches are caring for their people and serving their communities despite very significant limitations. Thus, during this really difficult season of ungathered worship, how do we respond as a church? Well, we respond the same way that Oak Hill has always responded in the past. On many, many occasions, both Curtis and I have both likened Oak Hill to a hospital, a place where the sick can come to find health and hope. So rest assured that we are not the only ones who are frustrated by the adjustments that we've been required to make during this very novel period of time. Nonetheless, it's an opportunity to see God's grace poured out in meaningful and even very surprising ways. So, church, keep praying. Perhaps with a little extra time on your hands, reach out to our members here, especially those who don't have or use the internet, and tell them that you love them. Tell them that they are not forgotten. Because God will get us through this. He always has, and his promises are sure.